Gojo vs Makima has always been power skilling's scariest matchups because at one side we have Gojo, who's an immovable object, and then we have Makima, who is an unstoppable force. And now here's the thing, before I get started with the whole death battle of Gojo versus Makima and whatnot, there are a few rules. So rule 1 is the verse will be equalized, so no batshit insane thing like Gojo hollow purples Makima for the third time and he dies of sickness because he's a Japanese citizen and Makima had a contract activated. No, none of that stuff, okay? And other than that, we also have this thing where they both know about each other's existence, so there won't be any prep time. So that's why I'll be dividing this video into 2 rounds, with round 1 being the regular round, in character round, and the second round will be a bloodluster fight. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Now, unlike my Gojo vs Sasuke video where I had to skill Gojo and explain all of his abilities, I think we need to focus more upon how the fights will go down in this video, because these characters are way closer to each other, whereas over there we all just covered Gojo's abilities, talked about Sasuke for like half a minute, and then we decided the winner, which was obviously Sasuke. Many people were mad at me for not talking about Gojo's RCT, but here's the thing, Gojo's RCT wouldn't work against Sasuke, but right now against Makima, that thing is a key item for him, showing how better he is against Makima, because Makima's whole control abilities work on people who are essentially someone she sees to be beneath her. And if Gojo is not beneath her, which is in character pretty much, then we cannot have them fighting at 100%. So round 1 is basically going to be a back and forth about who wins and who's faster, essentially. Because here's the winning points, right? So regardless of which round we are taking this consideration to, I'll get deeper into this afterwards in round 2, but hear me out. So essentially, if Makima gets her contract activated first, she will win, because then she's literally immortal. How are you going to kill her when there's like millions of Japanese citizens for you to use? Meanwhile, Gojo, well, you cannot get past his infinity with anything in Makima's arsenal. What does she have offensively? And that what brings me to my main point, like how is Makima going to kill Gojo if he has his infinity turned on, because she cannot get past infinity, and even if she does, Gojo is a better fighter than Makima. Meanwhile, if Gojo lets Makima activate her contract, which is somewhat in character for round 1, then how is Gojo killing Makima? We can go back and forth on this in the comments if you want. If you have any doubts, I'll answer them down below. You can tweet at me at the Rishi Senpai. But other than that, there's no such debate on how a in-character fight between those two would go, because objection! It's a goddamn draw. Like, you cannot power skill 2 characters who are so equal to each other in both offensive and defensive capabilities. Okay, sure, Gojo might be better than her in offensive capabilities, but she's better in defensive capabilities, and it's literally an unstoppable force versus an immovable object scenario, like I said in the starting of the video. So I think it would be safe to say that the first round would end up in a draw. And now it's time to see at 100% bloodlust how good these guys can do. Now for 100% bloodlust, it's pretty much obvious that Makima will activate her contracts, right? So we don't have to worry about that. But the problem is we have only seen Gojo be at 100% bloodlust like 1 or 2 times at max in the whole series. For the whole culling games, he was absent. Before that, in the Shibuya incident, we still had Gojo somewhat restrict himself. But other than that, we didn't have any other such feats because he got sealed. After he got unsealed, he did 1v3 Sukuna. But other than that, there is no such example of what Gojo can do, right? But if we go into the depths of how the fights go, we can see that Gojo is a master at adapting, which is very ironic since he lost just the character who used the ability to adapt to beat him. Other than that, there's no other such examples for 100% bloodluster Gojo. However, since we are giving both of them equal intel about each other, and if I tell Gojo about Makima's contracts and how they work, and I tell Makima about Gojo's abilities and how they work, I don't think that without any prep time they would be able to come up with a strategy against, except for Gojo's domain, which is a sort of a GG easy type scenario. But other than that, I don't see Gojo winning without his domain followed by a hollow purple. Like, of course, if Makima decides for some god forbidden reason to not activate a PM contract, a hollow purple should be able to wipe her out. but given how she's come back to life so many times due to her being the control devil and having control and those heightened senses and being able to stay alive just for the important milliseconds of her activating a contract by seeing how fast she activated her contract during the gun devil's attack and whatnot. So it is obvious that even the least slip up from Gojo's side can be the biggest mistake he makes in this battle. But that's what brings me to the whole video topic of Gojo versus Makima is closer than anything. Most people will say that this is a victory on one side, but the whole point of me making this video is to explain and elaborate upon how one character is not being able to beat the other character until and unless we make some specific conditions which would not be that equal or justifiable for the other character. And I think that is a very fair point to end this video on. I know this is a very short video, so apologies on that one, but I think this is the final conclusion I was willing to reach for this video, because Gojo and Makima are kind of equals in fighting because both have the best durability hacks, even though Gojo is a better offensive character than Makima, right? So that brings me to my whole concluding point of this being a draw, and I think that's going to be it for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one.